project on globalization. I am Melissa.
And I'm Bradley.
What we want you all to learn from this is what is globalization, how are globalization and technology related, and what are the pros and cons of globalization. So keep that in mind. Please.
Globalization is the process of international integration arising from the interchange of worldviews, products, ideas, and other aspects of culture. So, can anybody name globalization, some examples of globalization?
Nike, like t-shirts. Yeah, anything made better, I guess.
McDonald's.
McDonald's, that's a good one.
Yum.
Walmart. Daniel.
Walmart. I learned in my...
Right.
Go ahead, what do you know? No, that was the biggest company, like on the sport, #1 on Forbes, but it's in, do you remember what you said the percentage? I just remembered. It's Walmart's, like,
I don't remember
international, it's where
it's #1.
It's #1. That's all I have to worry about. Alright, and
Facebook?
That's true, you don't really think about that in globalization, but I have a friend that I met here at school years ago. She's from Norway, and we still talk. It's fun.
Apple.
Microsoft.
Oil.
What did you say?
Oil.
Oil? That's a good one. Many of issues in the world.
Any more?
Shoe, any shoe I made.
What?
Any shoe.
Shoe.
Any clothing.
Under Armour.
Cars.
There's some
Diamonds.
clothes.
Just
Cars.
Clothes, accessories, anything.
Back in your hair.
Love diamonds.
Anything.
What diamonds?
We got
You're just holding
automobiles.
my wrist.
Audi, Volkswagen,
Alright, well this is a
Suzuki.
good example of
Oh,
things
no.
that are international. Even though.
Especially McDonald's.
So now we're going to watch a brief video on globalization.
Globalization is a widely discussed topic. It is therefore not all that easy to explain such a complicated term in simple words. Let's start from the beginning with a background to globalization. Advances in technology, such as mobile phones, aeroplanes, telephones and the internet, have made the growth of transport and communication networks possible. Amongst other things, this means that people and countries can exchange information and goods more quickly and in a less complicated way. This process is called globalization. Globalization comes from globe and means the worldwide coming together of countries and nations. Let's look at an example. Companies used to manufacture products in their home countries, just like the companies Profi TV and Supercolor, who produce televisions in country A. Their products are in direct competition with each other, but both companies pay the same salaries and production costs. They have the same customers, use similar suppliers, and sell televisions at similar prices. In short, the same conditions apply to both companies. So far, so good. Due to technical, cultural, and economic developments that have come about through globalization, other companies which manufacture products under different conditions can now offer their products in country A too. That's why a company from country B can sell televisions here at a lower price, because they were produced for less. The local firms Supercolor and Profi TV have to react to withstand the competition. And so the world grows closer together, and there is an active exchange of goods between countries. More affordable products are available for more people. However, Not only does an exchange of products and economic goods take place, but also of services, knowledge, cultural goods, and even languages. All of these individual elements are closely linked and influence each other. But where there is light, there is also shadow. Because of globalization and this intense exchange of goods, people and the environment often suffer. If a company decides to move production to an economically disadvantaged country, people in industrialized countries lose their jobs. At the same time, job opportunities open up to many locals in the economically disadvantaged country. Many people in these countries work for very little money in comparison to those in industrialized countries. Therefore, they often remain poor, and more often than not, do not have sufficient insurance, social insurance, or health insurance cover. A further disadvantage of globalization is ecological problems, such as climate change. The use of aeroplanes, ships, and lorries to transport goods over international borders is constantly on the increase. This causes more carbon dioxide to be released into the atmosphere, which, in turn, is the main cause of global warming. Even national environmental standards are ignored. This is a further cost factor in the worldwide international site competition, which should be kept as low as possible to be attractive for a company. There are therefore many sides to globalization, which affect almost all aspects of life, causing me to think that the chain of positive and negative effects will continue to grow further. What's important is to realize that globalization itself is neither good nor bad. It just depends how people deal with all the new possibilities in the future.
That was our little video on globalization. Next, what we want to do is, now that you had that wonderful explanation, let's go over the pros and cons of globalization. Bradley with his fantastic handwriting. Do that. Does anybody have a pro or a con?
A pro is it makes like products cheaper for the consumer.
Con is pollution.
Dylan?
Makes products more available to the consumer.
A con can be outsourcing of jobs.
Con, the outsourcing of jobs.
A pro can be a better profit margin for the producer.
That's
A pro is, since there's like a spread of ideas there in business practices, there's more innovation, so.
that's a good one.
Pro is like different products available to different areas.
A big con is higher competition between companies.
Higher competition. Yeah, that's right, because it was saying how the one company in the movie or the video said that they were paying their workers' wages, and then when the other companies started bringing theirs in, then the original company, they it hurt their business. That's a good one. All right. Oh, it went away again. Right. So next we want to talk about how is globalization and technology related. First we have communication and the sorry, getting blank. Communication. Do you want to talk about that?
Communication is just different forms of how we communicate, and globalization has led to that with technology. What are some ways, like technology-wise, that help communication from globalization?
Email.
Yeah. Like anything else?
Skype.
Skype. Basically anything technology.
I just discovered Translator, so I can communicate with people in other countries who are studying the same thing that I am. They write it in their language. I take this new app and put it over what they typed to me, and it immediately translates it to English.
Well, that like immediately bridges again.
Use that one.
Yeah, for when you have ESL or English language learners, when you're getting to that point, it's going to be huge for you guys. I was just playing with it because it's relatively new, but it's just amazing. It's on my phone. Yeah, it's an app on my phone.
Anything else? Well, there's like simple things like cell phones and like all the Apple products like that came out like within the last decade. Like, so yeah, so that's improved communication.
And then, can anyone think of transportation? How like that has things, just the low races, the video, the trucks, and they are able to move things. Does anyone have anything else? There was one that they didn't mention, I don't think, in the video. That, huh?
The train.
Oh, that was another one. That's a good one. They didn't have that. I was also thinking cargo ships. Can ship massive amounts of products across the ocean when it would be too expensive to fly it because the weight and everything. So cargo ships, that's a huge invention for transportation that has helped shrink our global space.
And like we said, what you guys came up with pros and cons, there's some similars on here. Like positives are standard of living, there's a higher standard of living, especially in our country, but also if like globalization happens in a developing country, they're going to get a higher standard of living too because they're making money from those jobs, and so they can buy more stuff. There's creativity and innovation, people think of new things, different ways to communicate, different ways of transportation, stuff like that, because they're getting paid more for educated jobs. They have technology benefits, like cell phones have gone a long way. Like, I mean, we can Skype and we can call people from overseas, and it's easier. The government cooperation, which is basically like governments in less developing countries can cooperate with our country to like have something come over
We
there.
have like NAFTA and the UN and all that.
And then access to foreign culture, like all of our Chinese food, all that stuff. So.
And then we've talked a lot about, oh, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say that there's a lot more thought given to the possibility of war and what it economically would do to a country that was in regular trade with other countries. Not necessarily like, North Korea is the only one that doesn't really trade with anybody. But China, if they decided they wanted to go to war with the U.S., all of the things that would happen, that wouldn't happen in China if they decided to go to war with us. Or Iran decides to develop nuclear weapons and they get economic sanctions from not only the U.S. but also the other global powers, makes a difference in whether or not they want to do that. So it has implications, economic implications, beyond just what we think of as consumer implications.
And then with the negatives, we, as mentioned before, there's outsourcing, and then one thing that when we think of globalization now, we think a lot of like the movement of goods, but there's a lot more to globalization. It's such a giant sphere, no pun intended. Because like a negative could be disease. since we're more mobile across diseases, a much higher possibility to call Ebola scare that we had. That is also part of globalization because people are so mobile and they can be from place to place in a matter of days or a day, even with the types of transportation that we have now. So those are some things. Go ahead.
Why culture? I'm gonna do some questions, but was that negative?
Culture, you can lose culture too sometimes with globalization. Just because, well, I'll use like the American culture. We are going, so many of our things like McDonald's. I remember a long time ago, in Paris, they didn't want a McDonald's close to the Eiffel Tower because it was an insult to them almost. They did not like the idea of American culture being so close to one of their iconic things. It was a long time ago. But, so something like that. It's just, you don't, like other cultures infiltrating other cultures and having placelessness.
Yes. Jeff Gordon be proud. He would be proud. Okay, and so just a brief history of globalization. We talk about it now like it's some new phenomena, and it's really is not that new. It's been around pretty much since the beginning of civilization. And when I did some research on it, globalization has been broken down into 3 main periods. And the first one is described as the archaic globalization, and they said that pretty much started with the Indus Valley civilization, and that's where, if you guys don't know, that's where civilization is said to have begun, and it was the movement of ideas from those people when they started to settle down with agriculture. They had the free time and they were able to learn arts and different things, and then they were able to move around and share these new concepts and technologies that they came up with on their spare time. And so then it just kind of grew, and also the Silk Road was something that occurred during this period of time. Is everybody familiar? That's a pretty good one. And then during this period, it was described as the globalization of countries, and I kind of like this idea because it was the spread of ideas and concepts, and that's when countries were starting to grow outside of the beginnings of civilization. And then the second period of globalization that they described, they called it the proto-globalization. And that was around like the 16th to 17th centuries. It's a general time period that I have. And this time period focused on companies, like the globalization of companies. This was when we had the rise of maritime enterprises, or empires, I'm sorry, such as Britain, Spain, Portugal, and the Dutch. And so we had the British East India Company with the tea in Boston, all that. So that was during that time, and that was colonization was happening, and it was just more like the spread of European cultures and Middle Eastern and Asian cultures started spreading everywhere throughout the globe. And then last we are in the third phase, the 19th century to present, and this is the focus on people, the globalization of people, and that started with the Industrial Revolution. If you look back through history, anytime there were major booms in technology, there was a new surge of globalization. So globalization is essentially nothing without technology. And it's interesting to go back through history and look at these parallels. I think it is on the door like that, I guess. But, so that's just globalization, the history of it in a very small nutshell.
Okay, so now we're gonna play a game.
So if everybody could get out their phone or some sort of device, computer, anything like that, we're going to do a Kahoot It. Is everybody familiar with how to play Kahoot It? We played it in here once, I think.
I have another class and we play all the time. It's fun. And as future educators, this is a really fun and easy way to do the classroom activity.
Yeah, we play this.
Third game.
Where do we go?
Oh, you can read it.
What game
Yeah.
do we
Where's the? I think so.
Oh, this thing.
Oh, there you go. So there's a game pin. So if you type in kahoot.it, then type in that password or pin.
Remember cheese.
I'm gonna do it again.
Wait, was that yours last time?
Of course it was.
I cut through here.
Right.
Alright, there's 0 balking.
I'm hoping Mayweather gets knocked out.
Like, yeah, really.
Subs is
I just want to get
Yeah,
fired.
so while you're waiting, move to the ground.
To be honest, I don't care about
Keep
you.
backing out.
Who's cheese?
Does everybody see their names? Is that everybody? Does everybody see their
I just think it's funny. I'm a child. I know.
These, guys, 15 languages.
Jeez.
Hey! You yell at me, you just say that. No.
You have to charge your laptop.
Cheese, cheese, cheese.
When I had my iPad, this one was like, are we good? Alrighty. Is everybody ready?
Ready?
Sway J.
Question 1. What is globalization? Oh, frickin' A.
Oh shit. I'm an idiot, I even have this.
Second place?
I'm tied with taco. Cheese and taco are tied.
It's correct. It's the transfer idea.
Well, first,
Are you surprised?
Subs are good.
me and Johnny Appleseed's not gonna even see the top.
The main aspect of globalization.
The main aspect.
I can't see it.
I think I missed it. Oh, I got it right.
Wow.
Who's Sunshine?
The swaggiest.
Man, struggling with that. Oh, I have no.
Wait, what is it?
I want that one.
my god.
Oh, Jesus.
I didn't see
I
that.
can't
on
see it. Oh, I got that wrong.
Wait.
I hate this. He's my chocolate.
All of the above. Samsung, HP, and McDonald's.
I'm behind cheese.
Swag Jake.
Form of technology that boosts globalization.
I don't think this is focused.
I like
Empty my tutor.
Yes, transportation.
That's like
Helps smooth things. The phone booth used to though. That used
A
to be.
pro of globalization.
It's pro.
Oops, sorry, my-
Oh, man, I got that wrong. I got way too quick.
Oh, I got that wrong too.
I'm behind 2 doors.
Oh, jeez.
There we go.
Aaron. These questions I think are tricky.
What is the con of globalization?
Croc shoes.
I put that on accident.
Oh, I thought that said pollution.
That's
That's
gonna be
not
correct if it did say that.
Examples of globalization.
Make my comeback.
Wow, I got that wrong.
Where's Johnny?
Alright, good job.
No tax on.
Not sober. No, it's not. It's not.
I mean, the transportation that has increased because of globalization.
Oh my god, I don't even know what I pressed. I didn't think I pressed anything.
Hot air balloons.
Oh,
Technically, yeah. Wow, not in there. Wow.
Aaron,
Wow.
killing
Yeah,
it.
zero
I went from
incorrect.
full to eight.
It just takes a drink.
He's like, yeah.
Thank
Please
you
sit by
everyone
McDonald's.
that was our presentation on globalization, and I hope you now feel like you know more.